Hello everybody and welcome to the Lunch and Learn session. Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you to Anne, who's going to be giving us a session today about AI. I know that will be of interest clearly to all of us who signed up, and recognise as well that we might well be engaging with it at different levels and at different starting points. So I'm incredibly interested. I know that I'm familiar with the slides that Anne is going to share, and I think there will be something of real relevance to all of us here today. So I'm going to hand over to Anne. Just to let you know, we will be sharing the slides, and also the recording will go onto our website and onto our YouTube channel, so that will be there for anybody who wants to refer back to it. And we will share the slides with people who've registered for the event. Those also will be available on the Alliance website pages. So yes, we're building up a bank, hopefully, of all of the Lunch and Learn sessions that will be there for you to tap into, whether you could attend or not. So without further ado, thank you. I'm going to hand over to Anne Limbert, who works for Citizens Advice Worcester and Herefordshire, and has an expertise not just around AI, but around AI, and uses it widely and trains people in it within her organisation. So thank you very much, Anne.
Thanks, Susie. So my name's Anne Limbert, as Susie said. I'm one of the advice service managers at Citizens Advice Worcester and Herefordshire. I've worked in the voluntary sector for over 30 years, so 34 years, in various local citizens advice and shelter. Started as a volunteer in 1992, done various paid jobs, and I came down here to be the Chief Officer at Malvern Citizens Advice. That was in 2004. I've stayed down here. I've worked in Birmingham Citizens Advice when it was the largest one in the country. Then I went to Shelter for 10 years. I was the England-wide partnership manager, working with all the local authorities in England, all the voluntary agencies, all the Citizens Advice, and the statutory agencies. So and I do embrace change, but not change for its own sake, where it's relevant to our sector. So if you can ask questions as we go along, and Susie's going to keep an eye on that. I can't see anyone because I've got my PowerPoint up now. So I'll make a start, and there'll be time for questions and examples at the end as well. So to start off with,
sorry to interrupt. Could I just ask you to share your slides as a slideshow, please?
How do I do that?
So can you see across the top? You've got design, transitions, animation, slideshow.
Oh, slideshow, yeah.
And that just leaves us then with the slide. And if you start from the beginning, that's it.
Yeah. Right,
Brilliant.
Let me bring it. I need to bring it over now because I've got two screens, so it's gone on to the. It's on my other screen and I can't bring it over.
Sorry.
It's all right. What I'll do
you
is
work it, you use it however it works best for you.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing and I'll share it on the other screen.
That's great.
Just need to go back now. Sorry. That's it.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you.
I can start now. Sorry. So I'll have to look to the side, I think. So you can all see that then now. So using AI in your VCSE organisation. So practical, safe and confidence building use of AI for charities and community organisations. And the first thing that I did, because we're using Copilot, is I asked Copilot to produce a presentation for this Lunch and Learn. And what I said to it, it's important, the prompts are important, what you put in. So what I asked it to do is, because I didn't want a couple of weeks ago for our trustees, so I said, using the trustee report that I did, and this is for the Lunch and Learn, and I think I put part of Susie's email into it, produce a presentation. So I've left this first slide up where it said, my recommendation for this audience. So practical first with governance woven through rather than leading with policy, which is what I did for the trustees. So it said less trustee style, less governance detail and more examples, more hands-on, plain English safety. So looking at GDPR and DPIAs, and a warm tone. So it's confidence building. And that attendees leave with one safe AI task that they can try next week. So this is how Copilot helps. So whatever you need to know about Copilot, you can just ask it. So what we're going to cover is what AI is useful for. So admin, writing reports, meetings, learning, funding bids. It's really useful with funding bids when you have a limit, a word limit. So to get the word count down, it's really difficult if you've written something and you need to condense the word count. It's really good for doing that. So I'll look at the examples that we're using. So we're using Copilot. We're using Wiser Assist, and now I've got a slide for each one. Document Builder, Caddy and Convo Coach, and Caddy and Convo Coach are both Citizens Advice National products. And then we can try a prompt, a safe, low-risk practice activity suitable for any organisation, and to be using it safely. So looking at GDPR, DPIAs, accuracy, bias, environment, and human review. And the key message is AI should support people, not replace them. And we always keep in mind advisor and staff well-being. So it's not that because it speeds things up, so it means that you can work faster. It's not, oh, we can do more and more. It's like we need to think about advisor well-being, and it means that they have done something faster, so they've got 20 minutes to have a coffee or talk to a colleague, or look into research. A lot of the things that we can't always do because we're having to see clients straight after each other. So why AI matters for VCSE organisations. And like I said, we're being asked to do more, often with less time and fewer resources. So demand is rising and people's needs are often more complex. So even if client numbers are going down, then that's because we're spending more time with each client because they have got more complex issues that they're coming in with. Staff and volunteers spend too much time on repetitive administration. Reports, bids, communications and monitoring can take time away from delivery. AI can create first drafts, summaries and structures much faster than we can all do it. We know that we can do it, but then the AI creates it much faster. And people still make the decisions and hold professional accountability. So AI is a helper. It's not a decision maker. So it's an assistant. It's not there to make the decisions.
You're right with me not using my headphones.
Sorry? So the tools and what are they good for? So like, because I asked Copilot to write this presentation, then these are the notes from Copilot. Keep this slide simple so people can see the practical difference between tools. So Copilot, everyday productivity, drafting, summarising, planning, slides, notes, emails, checklists, event invitations, just something, emails especially. When you're responding to an email, it might be that you need it to be a bit more diplomatic, you might want it to be kinder, you might want it to be firmer, and it does it straight away. We've decided not to use ChatGPT because the county council don't use ChatGPT, they use Copilot. something to do with where it's stored. So we've made that decision that we would use Copilot, but obviously there are other products out there. And we've started paying for Copilot, so we've got some licenses for Copilot, but the free edition does its job just as well, and I'll come on to that. And then Wiser Assist, and this is something we got some funding from the Debt Modernisation Fund through MAPS, Money and Pension Service, to work with another organisation, Wiser Limited. So they've produced a product for us, Wiser Assist, and it records advisor and client conversations, and it records it, so you don't have to take notes, and it puts it into a structure. So we've told it the structure that we want. So I'll come on to that when I come onto the slides. So document builder, and that's part of the Wiser Assist, but that's more tailored to the debt advice that we give. And then Caddy, which is an advisor support, and that's a Citizens Advice National, and Convo Coach, and that's helping training advisors, and that's National Citizens Advice as well. So you need to, everything that you need to use it safely, check it carefully, and keep people in control. I think I had to adjust that sentence because the keep people in control bit sounded a bit like we were controlling people rather than the people were in control of it. So Copilot in action. So turning scattered work into a clear first draft. So the starting point is you have rough notes from a partner discussion, a few emails, and a deadline for a short briefing. Now, if you've got the license, you just ask it to find the notes that you've got, a few emails that you might have, and give it the deadline and ask it to turn it into a briefing. If you've not got the license, then you have to input everything into it, and I'll show you how to do that. And then, so this is a prompt example. So you say, turn these notes into a one-page briefing for VCSE leaders, use plain English, include actions and flag anything that needs checking. And one of the things that I always say as well is make sure that you keep all the relevant key facts. Sometimes it might take the key facts out that you're wanting to use. And then there's always a human check. So when you've written anything anyway, you would do proofreading. You might ask a colleague to proofread it, but you would always read over it. So you need to review the facts and the tone and confidentiality, and whether personal data has been included before sharing. And if the tone's not right, then, like I said, you ask it to change the tone, ask it to be more friendly, more diplomatic, firmer. So the best use for Copilot is first drafts. You can go on then to do your final drafts with it. Summaries, action plans, emails, slide outlines, plain English versions, and presentations. Like it's done this presentation for me with a few prompts. And then Wiser Assist, which is something that we're paying for. So we had this through Debt Modernisation Fund, and then that was for 8 months, and then we've negotiated with them so that we've got a 5-year contract. We've got the first year for free, and then we pay a percentage of how much they would be charging for so long, with a break clause in every year, just in case we don't want to use it.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I just pick up on a couple of questions that have come into the chat, please, before we go on to Wiser?
Yeah.
So we've got a query from Joe Sullivan saying that they thought Copilot was ChatGPT, in that isn't it the same model? And that they thought it was moving to Claude instead.
No, they're all different. I'm not, do you know, because they're probably all owned by the same billionaires, aren't they? That Copilot's Microsoft, So I'm not an expert in the technicalities of that, but they are all different. I'm not sure who owns what and whether they are part of the same company or not. It's kind of like supermarkets and banks. They've all got their own brand, but they are all, a lot of them are owned by the same company. So I'm not sure about that. If you ask Copilot will tell you. Or ChatGPT.
I love that.
Or
That's a
Claude.
brilliant answer.
Yeah, just ask.
There's another question in terms of an inquiry about where Microsoft stores any data that is used by Copilot.
Yeah, so they do store it, but I've not got the technicality
But if
for
we
that.
ask
And again,
Copilot,
we would. Yeah. And I can look into that.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to? How are we doing for time? I'll go through it first, and then I can show some examples. So Wiser Assist is available to anyone, but there is a cost to it. So it's not just Citizens Advice, and they're working with quite a few different organisations who've got the Debt Modernisation Fund funding. So this is where it records the conversation between the advisor and the client, and then it puts it into a structure, and then we just copy and paste it into our casebook. It does like 5 different types of recording. So it might do bullets, it might do a summary, it might do more. It does the full transcript, but we would never use the full transcript. And it takes out, so when it does the structure, it takes out all the pleasantries and all that chit chat and what have you. So it makes QA. So everything like that, it makes sure that everything's put in. And then the advisor checks the summary, corrects anything inaccurate, and applies normal quality and confidentiality standards. So we've already got that quality built in. So it reduces manual note taking and improving consistency with advisor review. And obviously we still do we still review cases for quality. But I guess that's coming as well, that it'll be able to do that, and then we would just yeah, I've just seen that come up. Yeah, you do have to double check when you're asking it things, and use some common sense. So document builder, this is creating more consistent documents. So this is the template that we use for debt advice. So this is a really complex template that we use, that we have lots of questions that have to go into casebook, and we just need to make sure that we've got everything in. It takes out what's not needed, so we've got all the different scenarios that might apply to the client. It might be talking about non-priority debts, priority debts, what the alternatives might be, what the options are. So it's talking about all those things, and usually that can take another couple of hours, 3 hours to write it up. And so it's saving time in that way. It gives more structured outputs to start with and client-facing documentation, and it produces a client care letter that we send out to clients to say, this is what we've discussed, these are your options. So the best use for document builder is consistent formats, clearer wording, and less time spent recreating standard documents. So it means that it's kind of changing the way that we work in, because it means that you can spend a bit more time with the clients. You need to make sure that you've got everything there that you need, but then it's written up straight away after. You can spend a bit more time with the client, or you can spend a bit more time on research, what you want to do. Like I said, we always take advisor wellbeing into consideration, and it might be that then they have a coffee and decompress for 20 minutes. And we are just going to be using Document Builder. We've used it with the debt team, and now we're just going to be using it with the welfare rights team. And then Caddy in Action. Caddy is a Citizens Advice national product, and that's helping with advice. So it's when the advisor needs to find relevant information quickly while supporting a client or preparing advice. And Caddy is described in internal materials as an AI advisor co-pilot that draws from trusted sources and provides draft information. So it only pulls from our trusted sources. So that would be our information base or gov.uk, Shelter. There's a 5 or 6 trusted information sources where it draws from. So it's not hallucinating, and it's not just pulling it from Google or from the internet. And then the human advisor or the supervisor reviews the draft before anything is shared with clients. So it's faster navigation to information while the advice remains human-led. And it's when we're using our information system, sometimes you can end up down a rabbit hole because it's, you're clicking from one thing to another. So it kind of keeps it concise. And we've started piloting this. And then Convo Coach, that's something led by Citizens Advice National to help training. So it's when trainees or advisors want to practice communication, interviewing or supporting a vulnerable client scenario. So it uses AI-generated voice and chat personas to simulate realistic client interactions. And the advisor reflects, receives feedback through normal supervision or training, and builds confidence. And this is quite a useful tool because a lot of the time, and we've not taken this away, but new advisors, new volunteers would observe and sit in with more experienced advisors. And the really learning on that is role play in training situations, whereas this is going a bit one step further than role play, I think. So it's a really useful tool, and it's in a safe learning space as well for people to do it. And they can do it whenever they can do it from home. They can do it when they're in the office, so you're not waiting for opening hours or training.
Anne, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
Are Caddy and Convo Coach exclusively for Citizens Advice?
They are at this point, but it might be something that they roll out, because with the information system is for citizens advice, local citizens advice, and as part of our membership we do pay for it, but any organisation can pay for the information system too, so when we were at Shelter, we had it in Shelter, so people can pay for it. So I would think it's still, they're both still at the pilot, but I would think once it's gone beyond that pilot that they probably will be rolling that out, especially because it goes with the information system. It is to buy the Citizens Advice information system. I think they sell it quite cheaply from their point of view, but it can be quite expensive for a small organisation to have to buy it.
Okay, thanks.
So live example, you can put something in about a meeting about volunteers, need a clearer induction, buddying, confidence with systems and a follow-up plan. And then turn these rough notes into plain English action plan for a small charity team. Include owners, deadlines and risks, and do not invent details. So a lot of the time, if you're using the free version or the internet version, then you have to tell it not to invent details, because it is quite good at inventing. But because I've got the license and I always have it under work mode, then it doesn't make things up. So don't put in personal data, make the audience clear, task clear and clear limits. Shall I share Shall I just do a little example of that and share? Because we're okay for time, aren't we? Let me not lose it. And let me not put any confidential. I always have too many things open, so I've sat and cleared everything. I'll just go on to Copilot before I move it over onto this page. Okay, so when you come into Copilot, this is what it looks like. And because I've got the license, you can see at the top that you can either have it in work mode or web mode. Everything that I do, I use it in work mode. And it also brings in everything that you've done. So you can get rid of things, or you can keep them. So it's keeping everything that you've done because you might want to come back to it. So what did we have? I don't want to put anything up in case it's might spell this wrong. So and it remembers you as well. So because I've put that in our AGM, I'm sure it's going to show that it's Citizens Advice, Worcester and Herefordshire. Because I've asked it to create an image, then it might take a little bit longer than what it would do. But if you've got the free version, then you would have to put everything in because it will not, it won't know anything about you to start with. And there's always a disclaimer. Sorry.
And is this drawing now logos and things from your drive?
Yeah.
Because this is a licensed version, so it has it's built up a knowledge and a profile of you as a user and your organization. So it just accesses that content, does it?
Yeah. So when I'm doing things and writing funding bids, then it will say, oh, do you want me to align that with the CRF? Do you want me to align this with this? And it will look into what I've already done before. So it's just done that look in 10 seconds.
That is so nice.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
good.
I know I did one for Nikki's 70th. I was just showing someone how to use it in our organisation. So I just used that. And then if I go back to I'll just bring this onto this screen so I can see it now. So if I just put that in, losing it, moving from screen to screen. And then either you so either you tell it here, this is where you tell it, or if you need to upload something, because I can say to it from my folders, find such and such, the CRF guidance for LAs, find that, and sometimes it says to me, I can't find what you're talking about. It'll probably say that. Right, so it's found it. I mean, it's if anyone's seen it, it's a massive document, this. and it tells you where it's found it, and then where it's done a condensed version, but it tells you what it's used and where it's found it. So if you were using several documents, then I asked it to do a job description, and then I asked it to do interview questions, and it tells you where it's drawn it from. And from the job description person spec points, I said to it, write 11 interview questions based on this, and so it'll do that. So you can see it's a massive document, but it's done a ultra short version. And then it says, shorten this section to 100 words, summarize key outcomes, explain how to apply CRF guidance in advice services. So it continues to have conversations with you on what you might want to do. Now, if you've not got, or you're not sure where it is or what it's called, then you can add. So if you've got the free version, then you would use this to add a document from your folders. So you upload images and files. So it'll take you there to that to upload them. And then if you want to dictate, I might as well do that while I'm here. So you press start dictation. And then you start talking. And I was telling Susie last week, I think, because I was checking it out for someone, and it might spell your name wrong. So you might say Suzy, Suzy, so then it will always do that. So things like that, then you make sure that it knows what it's doing. So next time you say Suzy, oh no, it's not done it. Suzy with a ZY. And then I was trying it out for someone who I know uses brackets a lot. So I said, open brackets, blah, 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 close brackets. And it didn't do the brackets. So I said, open parentheses, blah, 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 close parentheses. And then it did it. And it's same as ampersand as well. And you've got to put it in context, because if you just say ampersand, then it will just write ampersand. But if you say Citizens Advice, Worcester, ampersand, Herefordshire, then it'll do it in context. So it's things like that that you need to get used to, and it gets used to you and what you're doing. And then you just press on there to stop dictation. So that's quite, I mean, it's not something that I use much, but a lot of people do dictate. But also if you've got rough notes, it might be easier to dictate them rather than to type them in if you're not a typist. Just come back to the slides. Just what's that? So prompt formula. So you need to put good prompts in, and you get used to that, and it gets used to you. So act as a charity operations manager, turn this into a one-page action plan. Tell it who your volunteers, who your audience is, so volunteers and team leaders. Make sure it's in plain English. Don't invent facts, flag any gaps. So make sure you look at tone. Do you want it friendly? Do you want it firm? Do you want it diplomatic? And then so you can focus on low risk, high value tasks first. So funding bids, first drafts, outcomes narrative, plain English summary. You can ask it to use previous funding bids that you've done. So it makes sure that you know the things that you just have to copy and paste all the time, because it's the same thing about your organisation. Monitoring reports turn updates into themes. It does better structures, achievements and risks, and so ask it to pull out the achievements and risks. Meetings, it can do agendas, notes, actions and follow-up emails. Communications, event copy, volunteer adverts, newsletters and social posts. And then policies, summarise long documents. That, you know, that's the most boring thing to have to do. Make sure that you've got everything in that needs to be flagged up. Produce staff briefings and checklists. Induction activities, reflective questions, role play scenarios. When you've got meetings in your calendar as well, it does ask you, do you want me to do some preparation for this meeting? So there might be questions that you want to ask and you're not sure how to articulate it, and it makes you sound really articulate. So start with admin and drafting and not decisions about people or services. So what not to use AI for without extra safeguards. So keeping this session responsible without making it frightening. So pasting unnecessarily personal data, client histories, health details, financial information or confidential case material into unapproved tools. So my job's not front facing, so I never have confidential data about clients. With the Wiser and the document builder, what I should have said is that's not on the internet at all. That's our product, and it saves it for a certain length of time and then it's gone. I can't remember the length of time that it saves it, but it only saves it for so long and then it's gone. And we've got one advisor who works with people with additional needs, and we always tell people that we're recording it, and if they're okay with that, mostly they are. If they're not, we can say, well, we're not going to put any personal details in, we're not even going to say your name. But then it's their decision if they want it to be recorded or not. So think about it as well, making decisions about eligibility, risk, safeguarding, employment or advice outcomes without human review and proper process. So it's not taking away the things that we would do. It's not taking away the balances and checks which is how we work. So check for facts, tone, bias, hallucinations, which mostly comes from the internet, not if you've got the work mode. Confidentiality, accessibility, and whether the result is appropriate for the audience as well. So the simple rule is if it's sensitive, personal or high impact, then slow down and seek guidance. And then practical guardrails, keep data safe, don't enter personal, sensitive or confidential client information into unapproved AI tools, whereas our Wiser is approved, and use the minimum information needed. And check the output, because AI can sound confident and still be wrong. We all know someone who's like that, who will tell you something, you know that it's not right. So that's just the same thing, really. It's like Google's taken away the person who likes to sit at the end of the bar and spout information that you can check now. So check facts, advice, tone, bias, accessibility, and whether anything has been invented. And it keeps humans in control. So AI can draft and summarize, but people remain accountable for decisions, advice, safeguarding and external communications, as we would. So always keep a human in the loop. And then the ethical AI considerations, and use it in a way that it's fair, transparent and accountable. Check whether AI outputs could disadvantage people, reinforce stereotypes or exclude people with access, literacy, disability or language needs. Be clear when AI has helped create content. Don't present AI output as expert advice unless a qualified person has checked it. So that's the difference in when you've done something like that. If an expert has checked it, then it is expert advice. And be clear that with some of the funders who might be asking me for reports or more information, that we do talk about Copilot to each other and say, oh, can you run this through Copilot just to add this little bit on? So we all know that we're using it together, and it just makes it easier. And then agree who owns the final decision, who checks the output, and how concerns or harms will be escalated and corrected. And the ethical test, would this use of AI feel fair, explainable and respectful to the people that we're supporting? And GDPR and DPIAs in plain English, so data protection impact assessment. So only use the personal data you really need. Know where information is going and who can access it. Don't use confidential client information in tools that are not approved. Keep a human check before any advice, decision or external communication. And use a DPI when a new system or new use of data could create privacy risk. So a DPI, a data protection impact assessment, helps an organisation spot privacy risks, reduce them and document decisions before wider rollout. So it's not just paperwork, it is a safety check. And I did something on risk management last week, and so we had 6 risks, and one of the risks is AI, that, you know, that's an added thing now that we have to keep an eye on. And could we explain this AI use clearly to a client, volunteer, funder or regulator? So make sure it's not gobbledygook and we know what we're talking about. And then the environmental impact. So acknowledge the issue and give sensible behaviour, not guilt. So AI uses computing power and may increase energy use, water for use for cooling, carbon emissions and electronic resource demand. So, but then it reduces printing, travel, duplicated work, manual reformatting, and time spent recreating documents from scratch. So it's responsible behaviour, really. So use AI where it adds real value. Avoid unnecessary prompts. So sometimes it can draw you into that. If it keeps asking you a question, you've got to be careful not to be drawn into it. Oh, do you want me to do it like this? And it's like, oh yeah, go on then, I'll have a look at that. And then you just end up down a rabbit hole yourself. So you've got to be quite disciplined in that. Avoid repeated redrafting and generating content no one needs. And I've said to Susie before, it's like, is it good enough? It's usually good enough. So don't let the perfect get in the way of the good. Let's just say that it is good enough. When I did the interview questions, it produced the interview questions and they were good enough, so and use AI where it helps, avoid waste and keep digital practice proportionate. And so 10 prompts to take away, turning these meeting notes into actions, risks and decisions. And you can put this this presentation into Copilot yourself and ask it to summarise it. Draft a plain English volunteer advert for whatever role. Summarise this policy into 5 staff briefing points. Create a checklist for planning a community event. Rewrite this paragraph for service users with low literacy. Draft an outline for a small funding bid and a large funding bid. Suggest questions for a partnership meeting. And they're really useful. Create a simple risk register starter table. Turn this case study into an outcomes paragraph and write a warm follow-up email after a meeting. And it's really useful for email responses or even emails anyway. So there's lots of things that you can do with it, and once you start using it, the more it generates. Remove personal data first and ask AI to flag gaps rather than invent details. So a mini activity, choose one common task, such as writing an event invitation, which is what I've just done, summarising notes or creating a volunteer checklist. Remove personal data, add audience, task, tone, format, and what the AI must not make up. And share one safety check you would make before using the output. And so you can help me improve this prompt so it's clearer, safer, and more useful. And then the safety checklist. Is this a suitable task for AI? Have I removed unnecessary personal or confidential information? Have I told the AI not to invent facts? Have I checked accuracy, tone, bias and accessibility? Is a DPIA policy check or manager approval needed? And would I be comfortable explaining this use to a client, volunteer, funder, or regulator? And always keep a human in the loop. The final message, AI can help VCSE organisations improve efficiency, quality and resilience. And if we keep people, governance and community trust at the centre. So we're always thinking about people and the well-being of our staff and volunteers as well. And one of the things that I did when I asked it to produce this presentation was Susie had sent me the VCSE logo, and I asked it to put the VCSE logo in, and then I asked it to put our logo in as well. So you can see on every page it's put the logo in. And when I first asked it to put our logo in, it made it too elongated. So it took me a couple of tries to say to it, make it more boxy, not as elongated. And it did it then. So it's kind of always talking to it until you get what you want. But if it doesn't produce what you want, then that's okay too. You know, move on and do what you're doing.
Thank you, Anne.
Any other questions?
Yeah, does anybody have any questions?
Is anyone already using it for different things?
I just say, yeah, I mean, I use it occasionally, but it's, you know, if you're a small organisation, you probably wouldn't, like we are, you wouldn't want to pay for anything. So it does make it slightly different how we'd use it. So just for the occasional thing, and we probably don't write up as many notes as all that. But yeah, it's that's the best thing I found out of I got out of this was ask it not to make up data. That's quite an interesting one.
Well, yeah, and that's really important as well if you're using the free version. But if you're writing your notes up, then you just upload your notes into it anyway. If you're doing a funding bid, then you just upload your funding bid into it and the guidance from the funder and any previous funding bids that you might have done that you might to use, you know. So for the free version, everything that you use, it's you can upload it, so you use it in the same way. But the paid for licenses are I think we paid £15 a month. It might have gone up to £17 a month, and I think you've got to commit for a year. But that is a really cheap admin to be doing things, and it's not to get rid of admin jobs, because you know it is a game changer and jobs will be lost, and there'll be some jobs that we've not even thought about now that would be, but we need to, it's going to be it's a new industrial revolution. There's going to be a new way of working and living, but as it is cheap as an admin assistant, and it means that people who are admin, then they can concentrate on the other things that they need to be doing.
Sally's got a question, Anne.
Well, not a question so much as a comment. Yeah, I've used the ChatGPT to try and help with a funding application. So I put in information to it, and it sort of turned out a lot of information that I could then pick and choose what bits of it I wanted, and help me to sort of come up with a funding application. You never know, it might be even for sex, I don't know. But that helped to give me some ideas, because sometimes when you do lots of funding applications, your brain sort of starts to wither away with it. And so it's really nice to get sort of different examples of how to word it to make it sound, you know, me. And then I amended it so it did sound like me.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well, actually, for funding bids. It gives you ideas, doesn't it, that you might not have thought about, and it also structures it a bit better than what you might have done. But then, like you said, then you go through it and you change it into you, and you use the words that you would be using. It once for me, and I can't remember the word now, it used a word that I'd not even heard of. I had to look it up, and it was like not in plain English. It would have been a really simple word. So it's them things that you have to check, and not to pretend that you're not using it, but to make sure that it looks like it's had a human eye over it and changes on it.
Yeah, great. We've got another question from Charlie.
Yeah, hi, I'm with the Food Bank in Malvern. Thanks for a really interesting presentation. We battle with keeping track of stock, we battle with analysing statistics, and we battle with rostering volunteers in 6 teams across a fortnightly schedule. Any thoughts on or any experience you have in applying AI to that more sort of data handling rather than text rewriting?
Yeah, and
tasks?
it will do that. And I've used it for spreadsheets. And I must have, because I had some free training through Access to Justice. So I had 2 days free training on Copilot and a few more sessions as well. And we did something around spreadsheets. So all that you've mentioned, it can be used for that and quite easily. That's not my forte, but I've got someone in my team who it is, and I can ask him to get in touch with you and go through it. Do you want to pop your
Can you pop your contact
email
details
address?
in, Charlie,
Yeah,
into the chat?
and we can do that.
That's great.
Yeah. Because
Does anybody
things like
else
that.
have examples that maybe we haven't talked about in the way they use AI? Joe?
Yeah, so I had a kind of thought of, I'm seeing so much backlash at the minute against organizations using AI for promotion. So it's that kind of, those aspects that people feel should be a human. So show me a picture of your service, show me a picture of your face. Those are the bits that I think people really want to have the human connection, and AI can actually put people off. So for me, it's, as you said, kind of choosing where to use AI and where to not.
Yeah, I think so. And like I've said, we keep it to the human element. It's like that's really important to us. And same as citizens' advice as well, using CADI for information. It's not a like chatbot as such. Because we all end up on conversations with chatbot and for different organizations, and you usually have to say, I want to talk to a human, and then you get a person talking to you. So yeah, there are lots of disadvantages as much as advantages to it, but I think in the voluntary sector we need to stick to keeping the human at the forefront of it. One of the things that I did, I was telling Susie earlier, I'll just let me see if I can find it that I found. Oh yeah, so there it is. Do I need to make it bigger? So one of the things that I did looking at, I started looking at dictation because it's easy to do dictation in Copilot. And then what I found from Copilot is if you press, I'll just put my cursor on here. And I did try it earlier, so I hope it works. And I can send this as well to people so they can have a look at it. So I'm pointing to it, but you obviously can't see me pointing. So if you press Windows and the Windows icon on your keyboard and H, and then as speech, it's not happening now. And then you start, oh, it's coming, yeah. And so then it starts, you can dictate into a document. So I didn't know about that until I'd kind of started to investigate. I don't know if anybody else knows about it.
Is that the free version, Anne?
This is just yeah, so you're just a document on your laptop or your machine. You press the Windows icon, which is at the bottom of your keyboard, and H at the same time. And then, so this comes up and then you just start talking.
Wow, and where would you get a transcription of that from?
It's just here on the document, so it starts talking on the document.
Okay.
I'm not, that's as far as I've looked into it. You see?
Yeah.
So I'm talking now,
Yeah.
start speaking. Speech is converted to text wherever your cursor is positioned. There's also dictation available in Copilot chat. So it knows that I've got Copilot license.
That's very interesting.
then
I
you
didn't
just-
know
yeah.
about that.
No, I've just, there's so many things. I've just stopped it now. Because you can just start talking into a document. So if you wanted to adjust a document, you could just start talking into it.
Wow. So could you use that when you're in meetings then, if you've got to do notes for a meeting? Is that a free service available to any of us?
Yeah. So it's if you've got Microsoft. So if you've got your
Yeah.
laptop or even
Yeah.
your phone, maybe I might try it. And then, so many things.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's kind of like a washing machine. There are all these things on your washing machine. You only use 2. Oh, this is what I liken it to as well. It's like when we had, and we all look like we know what twin tubs are. It's like when we had twin tubs and you did the washing. The twin tub did the washing for you, but you had to stand there and put the washing in and then move it over and into the spinner and all this business. And then we went from twin tubs to automatic washing machines. You just put it in, turn it on and leave it, and it does it while you're doing something else. And that's a bit like AI, really. Moving on.
That is wonderful. Thank you. Has anybody got any more questions? We've just got about 3. Oh, we've got 2 minutes left in our meeting. If anyone has anything they wanted to add or ask. Anne, I think, did you say you were happy for us to share your contact details if anybody did have any questions?
I'm just looking at the twin tub. I never had a twin tub. My mum did. Went straight into an automatic, I think.
Will you be sharing the presentation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, I don't think my details are on the presentation, but I'm happy for anyone to contact me.
I'll share, if that's okay, Anne, I'll share your contact details.
Yeah.
So we'll share Anne's slides, her presentation slides with you, and along with her contact details. They will also be placed onto the Alliance website. So all of our Lunch and Learn sessions, the recordings and the presentations are going onto the Alliance website so that you can refer back to them, or you can signpost other people to them who couldn't make the session. So we're just building up kind of like a resource section on the Alliance website. So thank you very much, Anne. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
I will keep your slides though, because there's so much in there to refer back to that is valuable learning. So thank you. Really, really appreciate that. For future sessions, if you have any suggestions that you would like to make about topics that you think you would like us to cover, please drop me a line, because we're always really keen to hear about what support needs, what topics you would be interested in. And then we will look to see if we can find someone with relevant expertise who might be willing to run a session for us. So please do let me know. We're keen to kind of like make these as useful as possible to as wide an audience as possible. So thank you very much, everyone.
I'll send this document as well so everybody can try this, press Windows and H.
Yeah, thanks, Anne. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you ever so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye.